All right, so we are doing 733, distributed property and expressions vocabulary. So these are pretty short notes. We're going to go over some review vocabulary and maybe throw in another word or two. So let's do some review. I know this first one is a variable is a letter that represents an unknown number. So when we don't know what something is, we represent it with a letter, and most commonly it is X. An algebraic expression is a type of math expression that has at least one variable and at least one operation. So essentially, an algebraic expression has a variable, so it could contain X, Y, or Z, or any letter really, and then it's adding or subtracting or multiplying or dividing something, okay? And remember, an expression does not have an equal sign, okay? That is an equation. Each part of an expression that is separated by addition and subtraction is called a term. Okay, so it is separated by addition and subtraction. A coefficient, so we have learned this word before. A coefficient is the number that is multiplied by the variable. So it's that number that you see right up against that variable. A number that is unchanging is not being multiplied by the variable. That is called a constant. It does not change. No matter what we plug in for X, we're still adding that number or subtracting that number. It does not matter. And a factor is part of a multiplication expression. So remember, factors are what you multiply to get a product. So 2 times 3 equals 6. 2 and 3 are your factors. So let's go ahead and work on identifying those, looking at these expressions. So identify the terms, coefficients, and constants in the expressions below. So the terms are what build your expression, okay? They are kind of the building blocks of it, and they are separated by either a plus or a addition or subtraction sign, okay? So we could say, I always go through and circle my terms. And yes, you take the sign with it in front. In this -3 case, I'm going to take the negative sign and not the plus sign because the negative belongs to the 3. So for terms, we have 3 in this expression. We have a 6x, we have a -3, and we have a positive 8x squared. So the terms are separated by either plus or minus signs. So they are what builds your expression. The coefficients, okay, remember those are what are being multiplied by the variable. So the coefficients, I have a 6 and I have an 8. Okay, remember that it's not 6x. The x has its own name. Okay, that's a variable. The coefficient is just the number that is being multiplied by the variable. Same thing with the 8. You're saying 8 times whatever x squared is. Okay, so that is just the coefficient. And then lastly, any constants. So they are not being multiplied by anything. They do not change no matter what you plug in for the variable. And we only have one. We just have that -3. No matter what I plug in for x, at one point I'm still going to have to combine it with a -3. So pause this video and try to find those 3 items in the next expression for B. Okay, so let's identify the terms. Again, building blocks of your expression, and they are separated by an addition or subtraction sign. So your terms, we have a 2/3 y, we have a 14, we have a negative 1.2, and we have a 5x. You can see each piece is separated by an addition sign, and it can be a subtraction sign, just happened to work out that way. The coefficients, okay, those are the numbers being multiplied by your variable. And it's not the variable, it's just the number being multiplied. So I have a 2/3 and I have a 5. And my constants don't have a variable attached to it. And take its sign with it. So I have a positive 14 and a negative 1.2. Okay. These are very important vocabulary words. You need to know the difference between a term, a coefficient, and a constant. Terms build your expression. Coefficients are the numbers that are attached to your variable. And constants, they do not change no matter what you plug in. They stay constant. Okay. To simplify an expression using this distributive property, we multiply the quantity in front of the parentheses by each term inside the parentheses. So essentially what that is saying is whatever we see on the outside of the parentheses, right up against it with no addition or subtraction sign in between, you're going to take that and distribute it to all the parts inside. So let's do a couple examples down here. So we are going to take this 4 and distribute it to all the parts. So we're going to take our 4 and distribute it here. So we have 4 times 3x. I'm just going to write this out so you can see where we're getting these numbers. Then I'm going to take it and distribute it to the 1. And for your notes' sake, yes, I want you to write this down so you can see what you're doing. Because also another thing or a common thing that I see is, one, people might add this. So people, instead of doing 4 times 3x, they'll do 4 plus 3x, okay? When distributing, you are multiplying. The other common mistake I see is if you guys don't draw these little lines going to each piece right here. I see that we distribute the 4 to the 3x, excellent, but then you guys write plus 1, okay? So these kind of help you stay accountable to make sure, okay, is that a simple mistake that I missed? Is that why I got it wrong? Oh, okay, I'll just make sure to do that next time. So 4 times 3x is just 12x, and then plus 4 times 1 is 4. Go ahead and pause and try the next two. Okay, so we're going to take our 12 and distribute it to all the parts. So 12 times x plus 12 times 2. 12 times x is just 12x, plus 12 times 2 is 24. I cannot combine that any further because one of my terms has an x and one doesn't, so they are not common terms. All right, now I'm going to take my 1/2, distribute 1/2 times 4x, 1/2 times 11. So 1/2 times 4x is 2x. Remember, you're taking half of 4x, and I'm saying of because we're multiplying. So half of 4x is 2x. Same thing here, half of 11 is 5.5. Again, can't combine any further because one of those has a variable and the other doesn't. All right, that does it for 733.